You know that feeling, right? That lightning bolt moment when the $1 million idea strikes. It's exhilarating, but there's a huge, kind of scary gap between a great idea and a great business. In this explainer, we're going to build a bridge across that gap. We're going to use a data-backed roadmap to validate your idea before you pour your time, your money, and your soul into it. Let's get right into it. All right, first up, let's get a cold, hard dose of reality. Multiple studies show that a massive 42% of startups fail for one single, totally preventable reason. And you know what? It's not a lack of funding, it's not bad marketing, it's not even the competition. It's something much, much more fundamental than all that. That's it. That's the one. The number one killer of new businesses is simply a lack of market need. They create this brilliant, beautiful solution to a problem that nobody actually has, or, at least not one they're willing to pay to solve. And this is exactly why validation isn't just a step in the process, it's the step. So here's how we're going to break this down. First, we'll talk about why an idea is just a starting point. Then we'll walk through a 3-step process, finding the pain, testing your promise, and finally, getting real commitment. And we'll back it all up with a much-needed data-driven reality check. Okay, let's start with the most important principle of all. Your idea, and it doesn't matter how amazing it seems in your head, is really just an assumption. It's a hypothesis. The whole point of the validation process is to run experiments to see if that hypothesis can actually survive in the real world. It's all about replacing I think with I know. So step 1 isn't about pitching your solution. Nope. It's about finding out if there's a problem out there that's painful enough to even need a solution in the first place. You're searching for what the startup world graphically calls a bleeding neck problem. Yeah, it's a vivid metaphor, and trust me, it's for a very good reason. See, a bleeding neck issue isn't some minor annoyance. It's a critical, urgent, I need to fix this right now kind of pain point. It's a problem that people are already trying to solve on their own, maybe with some clunky spreadsheets, or by hiring expensive consultants, or by duct taping 3 different apps together. They aren't just sitting around waiting for you, they are actively searching for a fix. So how do you find that pain? Well, it all comes down to asking the right kinds of questions. You have to avoid hypotheticals like, would you use this? Because honestly, people are terrible at predicting their own future behavior. Plus, they want to be nice. Instead, you got to ask about the past. Ask questions like, tell me about the last time you dealt with X. That forces them to tell you a real story, and inside that story is the truth about their frustrations and, crucially, what they've actually done and paid to solve it. Okay, so once you've confirmed there's a real, painful problem, now it's time to see if your solution actually sounds good to people. But here's the key. You don't build it yet. No way. You test the promise of it with something called a minimum viable test, or sometimes a smoke test. A classic smoke test is a super simple, low-cost way to get real data. First, you build a basic landing page that clearly explains what you do and why it's valuable. Second, you drive a few hundred potential customers there. You can use a small ad budget or just post in relevant online groups. And third, and this is the most important part, you measure what they actually do. Do they sign up for your waitlist? Do they click pre-order? That right there is hard, quantitative proof of demand. And this isn't just some textbook theory. Look at how some of the biggest companies got their start. The Airbnb founders didn't build some massive global platform. They literally just took photos of their own apartment to see if anyone would book it. And Dropbox? They didn't build all that complicated file syncing tech at first. They just made a simple demo video. That video got them 75,000 signups practically overnight, proving the demand was absolutely there. Now, stories like Dropbox can make it all sound so easy. But to really succeed, you need to have realistic expectations, and those have to be grounded in data. The results from massive entrepreneurial research studies and A/B testing can be, well, they can be a little sobering, but they're also incredibly helpful for keeping you on the right path. Just take a look at this. Even for huge, established tech companies, something like 80 to 90% of the new things they try fail. They don't produce a positive result. A successful test is the exception, not the rule. What does that mean for you? It means your first idea, your first landing page, your first ad, it's probably not going to work. And that's totally okay. The name of the game is iteration. So what does a win even look like in this world? Well, in those big corporate A/B tests, a 3% improvement in the conversion rate is often considered a huge success. So yeah, don't expect 50% of your visitors to pre-order your product on day one. It's all about those small, incremental wins that are based on real data. And here's a really fascinating piece of data from a giant review of Kickstarter projects. We know that good visuals can improve prediction accuracy by up to 20%, and yet, almost 60% of the research studies didn't even analyze visual data. So what's the lesson here? Don't just look at signups. Pay attention to how people react to your images, your mockups, your design. Visuals communicate value, and they provide a powerful signal that's often overlooked. And just so you know, these numbers aren't just guesses. They come from massive research projects, some analyzing hundreds of thousands of real-world business attempts. So when we say data-driven, we're talking about this level of scientific rigor. All right, let's talk about the final and honestly the most powerful step of validation. You've confirmed the pain exists, you've tested the promise of your solution, now you have to see if someone will actually put some skin in the game. And that means getting a commitment that's way more serious than just a click or an email sign-up. That commitment can take a few different forms. It could be a simple presale or a deposit. If you're selling to other businesses, it might be a signed letter of intent, which is basically a formal document that says, hey, if you build this, we intend to buy it. Or you could even offer a concierge service, where a customer actually pays you to deliver the result manually long before you've built any software to automate it. At the end of the day, it all comes down to this. Money talks. An opinion is free, it's easy to give, but when someone pulls out their wallet and gives you cash, or even puts their professional reputation on the line with a letter of intent, they are giving you the strongest possible signal that you have found a real business. Like the quote says, free validation is no validation at all. So we'll leave you with this question to think about. Forget the grand vision for a second. Forget the 5-year plan. Based on everything we've just talked about, what is the smallest, fastest, cheapest experiment you could possibly run, like literally tomorrow, to get one step closer to knowing if your brilliant idea is actually a viable business?